Jones. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Inherent Universalist Fellowship of the Emerald Coast. My name is William Jones, and I'll be your service leader this morning. We gather here today on the unceded lands of the Muskogee Nation of Florida. We are grateful for the land and those who tended it before us. We are a people of many different paths and beliefs, who are brave, curious, and compassionate thinkers and doers. While diverse in age, ethnicity, and gender, we share the same values centered around love and acceptance of all. Our goal is to open minds, inspire spiritual growth, and ignite a passion for social justice. If you're visiting, welcome. You've discovered a community of friendly and fallible humans who welcome you here. All of us were visitors once, and strangers, but we found friends and opportunities for spiritual growth and justice as we work here. If you're visiting, please fill out a card by the front door so we can contact you if you would like to come back and visit us again. In our order of service today, you'll find a description of upcoming services as well as announcements. For example, if you have lost a pair of black earbuds, they are safe and sound in the office, and feel free to come by and claim them. And Amanda?
I have an announcement from Janet Chapman, who says this carpets are being cleaned on Wednesday morning. So after the service today, or after second hour, if in the RE and nursery rooms, you could help put the chairs and toys up off the floor. And out here, the only thing we have to move are the chairs in the circle in the back for snacks. If we stack those up, all the rest of these chairs they will take care of. So, thank you.
Well, can I make a Bill and I are going to be gone the next 2 weeks, so we have 2 pantry bags in the back. So if somebody will put them out the next 2 Sundays, we'll be appreciative. Thank you.
And now the prelude prepares us for the service. If you'd like to light our chalice this morning. In the words of Nadine McSpadden, during our darkest moments, still there is hope. When facing our biggest challenges, still there is hope. When all we can do is put one foot in front of the other, still there is hope. When we can't find the way out, still there is hope. When all we can do to help is hold someone's hand as they cry, still there is hope. We are the hope for ourselves and for one another. Always there is hope. Our opening hymn is going to be 344 in our gray hymnal. Today we're only going to be doing the first 3 verses as opposed to all 4. And now, the time for all ages. Joan, please come to the front. I'm going to talk to something really powerful today. Hope. And first, I have a question for all y'all. Have you ever hoped for something? And did it happen?
This might seem pretty upsetting at first, but it did come to my luck. My sibling, who went to the hospital a few months ago, I just hoped that he would come out alive. And luckily he did. We went to a better health care all the way down south. And all I can say is I'm really hopeful for that.
What was the question again? Oh, it come true. Oh yeah. My yellow bird, Flappy, she's still alive somehow. So I hoped for that, and she's still alive. So
I think that hope is kind of like these. I've prepared these for y'all today, and I think I might have enough. Trust me, it makes sense. Acorns. What do you think acorns hope to bring someday? Exactly. And here's why they remind me of hope. Now, if I just dropped an acorn and walked away, would it have any hope of becoming an oak tree? Just right here on the carpet. What does it need? Sunlight, soil, water. Well, like acorns, our hope needs things to come to life. First, we start with our imaginations. We imagine the thing that we're hoping for. We take a moment to close our eyes and imagine it. If you'd like just to take a few moments to close your eyes and think about something you want to happen this year. Your hopes are like acorns. They just need a little work. Some care, action, help, and luck, sometimes, to ever really come to life, like an acorn becomes a mighty oak. And one important question, though. Could you ever have an oak tree without first having an acorn? Exactly. The same way, every great thing that happens in our lives began with hope, with someone's imagination for what could be, what can be, and what will be. Plus, the action helped that little seed of imagination grow in life. That is the power of hope. The sharing of joys and concern is a sacred tradition in our congregation, as well as many others, and you are invited to briefly share events of your life so that we may support, celebrate, and commemorate both the highs and lows of this coming year and the last. Please don't share anything that people won't want talked about, and as always, our stream is muted for privacy. After our song of dedication, greeters will take up the offering. Generosity is a spiritual practice. Our fellowship is supported by your pledges and donations. If you're paying a pledge with a check today, please make a note of it in the memo line. We also have a tradition called Share the Plate, where we split equally all cash donations and checks not marked for pledges with a local charity. Our Share the Plate partner for January is Shelter House. Shelter House is a nonprofit center serving domestic and sexual violence victims and survivors in Okaloosa and Walton counties. I receive, to you I give, together we share, in this we live. Our spoken meditation today comes from Spilling the Light by Julian Jamaica Soto. I hope that this excerpt allows you to find peace in these turbulent times and to a wonderful new year. The reading will be followed by a few moments of silence. In this community, we hold hope close. We don't know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a North Star and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream, and by covenant and the movement forward of right action, and the next, we know that one day we will arrive home. Our speaker today is Rev Nancy Combs-Morgan. Rev Nancy is a member of the Congregational Life staff representing the Southern region. She has worked closely as a regional representative of the UUA's Faith Development CoLab and is actively supporting the UUA's RE credentialing program, including being an RECC mentor and a credentialed religious educator at the leadership level.
Greetings. I am the Reverend Nancy Combs-Morgan. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am an elder white woman with reddish hair, maroon horn-rimmed glasses, wearing a blue and white shirt. I am blessed to serve on the southern region of the UUA as a congregational life consultant. It is an honor and joy to be with you for this Sermon of the Month worship service. Well, let's set an intention. May this experience enable a shared practice of hope by embracing a whole community vision and naming that we are choosing to lead with love. If you are showing up in a struggle to be hopeful, know that you are not alone, yet remember that right next to that which we love is an eternal source of hope. In shared pursuit of radical culture change, in that we seek to mutually create glimpses, moments, and sustained experiences of beloved community, let us remember then to engage in daily spiritual practices such as this worship service to bring practices of hope and recalibration in our hearts. On this day and in the days to come, may our individual and collective sources of hope be kindled in fellowship and multi-generational learning. So, let us seek to open our minds, our hearts, our bodies to the shared wisdom and inspiration among us. As I mentioned, I am a member of the UUA's Southern Regional staff, and wherever we show up, know that we bring an internal covenant, elements of which include, in love, we will speak truth with integrity, listen to others deeply, practice empathy, and embrace and appreciate diversity of our differences. In the spirit of joy, we seek to celebrate Unitarian Universalism, that is our legacy, so we take time to call in our ancestors. Well, what is the internal covenant that you arrived with today? Know that covenantal practices also engender hope and build loving community. For no matter the age, each of us places value upon the promises that we make to one another. We grow and change in that promise-keeping and promise-making. Friends, the Unitarian Universalism that we will co-create today, and what we aspire as the Unitarian Universalism that is not yet, may we keep hope in our hearts for our beloved community as we seek to embrace mystery with the intent to be open and willing to struggle, learn, and grow. So with that covenantal intention, of which I invite you to be a part, I begin with a passage of a song, a piece that I often sing at the beginning of workshops or many different worship services that I hope that you all will also encounter when you need a source of inspiration. The piece begins, I am open, I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. That moving piece is offered graciously by Holly Neer, and in it we are reminded that such an intention calls us each to reflect individually, yet by invoking it together, we foster a mutual shared hope to be open to change. Friends, our path is painfully apparent. Painful in that we gather in a time where fascism is washing over our land and where throughout the world there is untold suffering on the rise. By sharing our hearts and commitments with one another, we become communities of care and courage that hopefully seek to link with other communities of resistance with the goal to lessen and eliminate suffering. And yes, those efforts must be whole community efforts. Our young people need to have models of inspiration and courage to sustain them for the years ahead. And more importantly, they need the life-saving skills of how to be practitioners of hope. Our path is before us, which may at times feel insurmountable. Yet let us remember to listen and tend to our hearts, to seek consciousness raising together, to gather skills of resistance, share with others what feels like too much to bear, and remember to share the joys that you find along the way. The joys and blessings will be found when you participate in communities of culture change, and therefore always be open to change, a change which dwells in curiosity, wonder, and possibility. Here we are, as Unitarian Universalists, worshiping at a time of tremendous challenge, where democracy is at stake, along with the critical urgency of naming and adapting to the climate crisis. With these tumultuous times, it may feel close to impossible that anything good could result from this moment of profound challenge. Well, curiously, what I am observing is that the challenges have also provided compelling opportunities to find that which is central to our understanding of community. Hardship has brought a hyper-focus on that which is essential. What many congregational leaders have shared with me is that somehow, some way, they have simply been striving to maintain a sense of connectedness and to embody being a community of care and radical welcome. One real outcome in this time of challenge is that across the nation, our Unitarian Universalist congregations have seen a significant uptick in visitors, especially families with small children. Those visitors are often folks who are being treated less than, simply due to their identities. They're looking for trustworthy space, communities of care, inspiration, and support for their entire families. Well, what then can we do to further prepare ourselves for a warm and radical welcome? First is to have the intent for greater connectedness, for we must embody loving multi-generational relationships as the core to our understanding of being in community. Those multi-generational relationships which deeply demonstrate care for the physical, mental, and spiritual well-being of all, from 4-year-olds to 84-year-olds. Well, here we are demonstrating care for one another by experiencing a shared worship experience. We have gathered to affirm, hopefully, that our connection is worthy, our endeavor is shared, and that we are not alone. In communal worship, we lift up and ascribe worth to the ideas which will inspire and bolster our intention to be multi-generational communities of deep care, communities of care for one another, communities that care about and being a part of the greater world. For in this very moment, we remind ourselves by naming and affirming ritual that the center, the heartbeat, the truly unlimited source of connection and renewal in community is how we demonstrate love. Love for one another, love for the natural world, love for all beings, love for self. In communal response for such love, today we will hopefully help to renew your commitment to practice hope by actively building whole community experiences. By carrying the best from our tradition forward, responding to the needs in our current context, and by affirming that even in times of great culture change, we will not relinquish the intent to help, grow, and support humane and caring people. people of all ages and all identities who seek to create peace, justice, and beauty in themselves and in the greater world. Well, you may ask, how can we do more than react and weather the enormous challenge of the moment? Yet let us remember, as Unitarians and Universalists, and as Unitarian Universalists, we have been in pursuit of the common good for well over 300 years here in North America. As a welcoming, open, non-creedal democratic experiment in religious liberty, we have boldly envisioned a world where difference does not determine equal treatment, where all have unfettered access to education and life-sustaining resources, where we all are free to experience happiness, freedom, justice, and peace. That is what we are charged as Unitarian Universalists to build our lives upon. That is our good news, our gospel. Yet to care and help change the greater world, we must affirm and pledge ourselves anew to Unitarian Universalist covenant-centered values embodied by hope, love, joy, and courage, and so many more wonderful values. And I ask you, if you affirm those values, do you perceive them as only serving the health and well-being of adults? I bet you don't. For many of you know, in your own extended family context, you know the critical importance of transmitting, sharing, and modeling hope, love, joy, and courage to the young people in your lives. They need your example. They need your stories and examples of courage to anchor them as they face the many uncertainties in our contemporary culture. Yet young people in your community do not just need your example. They need your openness of heart, your willingness to be transformed, your willingness to be in relationship with them. They are also seeking to actually embody those multi-generational relationships in ways where they can grow. But that requires you to know their names and to be sure to share of yourself when you do encounter youth and children in your congregation. You will be transformed by those encounters, but we must collectively seek transformation grounded on those shared values, combined with our covenantal promises, which hopefully will call us to a greater sense of generosity. For at the core of our community experience, we are compelled to thoughtfully assess where we actually are in regard to those values. The times we are living in compel us to do a values self-check. Actually, you all answer that question every time you congregate and share of yourselves one with another. And by doing so, you are hopefully building deep multi-generational connections. That's the heart song of meaning making as a congregation. And it is embodied in how you promise to be with one another. So let us remember that we have the capacity to have a shared vision informed by our love of ideas. And it is true, we do love learning which comes from many sources. Yet despite that love, we're also being called to change how we learn together and what we learn together. Let us attest that knowledge is ever changing and that we must seek out greater wisdom in the natural world and social sciences, as well as many other realms of knowledge. That is also a hope-based practice, to seek further education. And as we then experience this wake-up call, we must continue to find ways to deepen our multi-generational connections with one another. When you hear whole church, whole community language, that's what we're talking about. A truly multi-generational embodied experience. So let us, in closing, affirm that we care for our children and young people and their families so that everyone has a place each week to be inspired, to name and lay their burdens down for a time, a place where everyone can hear the stories of people of all ages and cultures, stories that illuminate with a type of sharing that impacts their lives in real ways, which lead them to practice hope with love, kindness, and service to the greater world. In closing, I offer this reading from my dear colleague, Reverend Carlton Elliott Smith. Let us remember, all life is a gift. You are a part of a network of congregations, communities, and leaders who care for one another and need each other to survive. You are a part of a faith that is committed to peace, liberty, and justice for all, especially when inequality and greed seem to be the order of the day. You are part of a universe that is abundant with possibilities, including this extraordinary chance to reshape society and culture, such that the focus of our shared humanity is within our absolute awareness. So in faith and in closing, may it be so.
Our final hymn for today, apologies, is 1060 in our teal hymnal. Had to remember for a second. It is a bit of an atypical melody, so Cecilia would like to play it for a little bit so y'all can get the hang of it. That's going to be As We Sing of Hope and Joy. In the words of Reverend Kevin Jago, when the candle dims, the wax almost spent, the light turns amber like a sunset. It still provides light. It still provides heat. Still, it can kindle new flame and pass its glow on and contribute new illumination. When sunsets turn to new days, when seasons transform all, when the candle dims, all is not lost. Hope continues, uncertain and true, like candlelight, ready to spark again. All is not lost. Please remain seated for the postlude, and then feel free to join us in the back for coffee and snacks, followed by second hour. Thank you all for coming. Very first time.